Hey everybody, it's Tara here from Beyond This Reality, and today I am coming to you to talk about those situations where you feel like you are at the mercy of someone else's actions, thoughts, attitudes, emotions, everything else. We've all been there. We've probably been there multiple times in our lives, even multiple times in a day. You could be in a crowd where you feel you're at mercy. You could be in your own home with a child who has intense emotions, with your spouse, at work, wherever it is, right? There's many times that we feel like we are truly a victim of how other people are, and we just wish they would change, right? Or we wish that we could help in some way that would change it all. Well, I'm here to tell you that there are ways that you can help, but it's probably a different way than you actually realize is possible. And I want to talk to you about the law of resonance. I'm not sure it's talked about very much, and yet I really love this law. And it's really the core of who I am and what I teach, the law of resonance. And so what it says is that the energy which you are, the thoughts, the beliefs, the emotions that you're housing within yourself, actually affects everything around you, and your ability and your capability of creating in physical reality what you desire. And so if we are constantly in the space of vibrating and responding to everything else, rather than owning our own vibration, it changes, right? So if you walk into a room, or if you're with somebody else and they affect you more than anything, then you are open to them being at the dominant energy. And so the greatest way I can describe this is tuning forks, and I'm actually buying tuning forks so I can do another video and show you this. But if you have two tuning forks and one of them you hit and it starts to vibrate, the other one that nothing's happened to actually starts to vibrate at the same frequency as the first one, right? And so many times, if we're that person who is doesn't know who you are, first of all, who you truly are, and you're always at the effect of pleasing others, showing up in a way that fulfills them, then you're constantly the second tuning fork that's vibrating at everyone else's frequency. Now, what if you are vibrating and yet the other one comes in and it's louder? You also change. And so there's actually something that needs to happen. So let's say you have a great practice. You are filling yourself up. You are doing different things that are good for you, and you have your own vibration, and somebody else comes in and knocks yours out of whack. Then it means that you all of a sudden start vibrating at their frequency, right? In that moment, you cannot change the vibration unless you do something. And this is super clear. So if you have two tuning forks and the second one comes in and it's the dominant energy, it changes the frequency of this one. This one, the actual tuning forks, you have to hit it again in order to change and be the dominant energy in the room. And dominant, I don't mean as forceful. I just mean the invitational energy of something else that's possible. So what is your list of possibilities that are available to you that get you back to your frequency? And then how amazing to know that when you're in your frequency, what that is, so that you can invite others to that space. So for me, it's this, and this is what I teach a lot of people, is to be the openness, the expansiveness of self. So let's say I'm in a crowd, which I don't generally enjoy a lot of crowds, or I used to really not enjoy crowds. Now these days, I have tools, and so I'm not as affected. There's some different things that I do, and it might be different each time, so I'm going to share some of them. Sometimes I have an essential oil with me, right? And the essential oil is something that I put on, or I just smell. I literally smell it, and it brings me back to a space in myself that's calm, relaxed, and open. Calm, relaxed, and open. How could that be a dominant energy that would be a hindrance to anyone? So smell and essential oil, right? Another thing that I do is in the energy work that I do, it's a lot of hands-on work. And so like I actually place my own hand on the area of my body that's feeling the greatest amount of tension. So a lot of times for me, it is my stomach. And so I'll actually put my hand on my stomach. Nobody notices. I could be walking around a crowd and have my hand on my stomach and like nobody's paying attention. But what happens is in that moment, when I put my hand on my stomach, I'm actually asking also for my energy to rise up. I'm acknowledging the part of myself that's feeling tension, which actually means that I have contracted into myself. I've essentially gone into a ball. Even though I'm standing up and walking, I've gone into a ball, I pulled myself in, and it's very uncomfortable for us to be contracted inside of ourselves. And so I'm actually asking my body and acknowledging it, and I'm saying, expand. So I'm asking my energy to go out into an expansive way. And all of a sudden, I am relaxed, breathing. And so at the same time, I'm asking myself to breathe in and to be this energy of, okay, right? And to be in my own energy, because when I contract, what happens is everyone else crowds me and I feel it even more. And so when I actually ask myself to expand, ask myself to be inside of me, I don't feel at the mercy of other people's energies. So those are two different things. So essential oils, putting my hand on my body, and then the third is really asking it to expand. The fourth thing that I have in my arsenal, and I don't do these all every time, like it might be something different. I may ask a question, and I ask a question internally from a standpoint of expansion. What else is possible right now that I am not aware of? Or what am I aware of right now? Like that's a huge one. Like, so what am I aware of? Is this a place that's a contribution to me? This is an interesting one because there may be times that you find that it's not a contribution. And then you may become aware of yourself constantly being at the effect and feeling beholden to either commitments or being somewhere because you said that you would be, rather than the greatest commitment we can ever have is to our awareness and to ourselves. And so have you bought the idea that your life is actually not your own and you're beholden to showing up in ways that aren't a contribution to you? What happens if you actually gave your self-choice to leave? What if you gave yourself choice to even just remove yourself from the room? That is something else that I do many times, is I will leave the situation for a little while, connect to myself again, and then come back in the fullness of me. Right? And so in that sense, I'm going back, getting my tuning fork to go back to its own vibration so that I come back knowing the resonance of it, experiencing the resonance of it, walking in the resonance of it. I mean, the greatest way I can say to you is you have been around others where you notice when they're being the essential self of them, right? And then when they curl in, you can see how their eyes are. Usually people's eyes go down when they're contracted. Their face goes down when they're contracted. Some people become louder, more forceful when they're contracted. But when you're in the space where somebody's being the vibration of themselves, it's light, open, and expansive, right? And so that's how you can know if you're being the vibration of yourself. It's light, open, and expansive. And so what are your tools that you use that truly work in order to bring you back to you so that you can be the invitational energy, let's use that rather than dominant energy, that invites others to move into that space of open, relaxing, and authentic, right? So I hope this helps, because we are all going to be in situations where others have emotional outbursts, where others even blame us. And yet if we can move back to the energy of not taking on the blame, allowing them to blame, allowing them to like almost emotionally throw up around us, and for us to stay in, oh, okay, not I don't care how you're feeling, but it's okay. Like, there's so much that somehow you've absorbed from the world around you that you need to throw it up. And when I'm speaking this way, like, it may be people in our lives that we can't walk away from. Like, I definitely had, my youngest son was highly emotional, and many times his highly emotional reactions was actually the reaction, or the reaction to me, because I was resistant to the extremes of emotion, and I tried to stop it in myself, and I didn't want it to happen in him. I wanted him to be kind and soft and all this kind of stuff. And then the moment that I actually removed my resistance and was the energy of, it's okay, obviously you got some stuff that you need to get out. Now, am I gonna stick around for you to like hit me? Because at the time he was really young and he would hit or scream or yell, whatever. I would just remove myself and allow him to get it out of his system. If he needed to punch pillows, if he needed to punch things in his room, I just let him do that. And it's interesting because it just stopped happening. It stopped happening. And now he is way more in tune with his emotions, and he isn't resistant. And yet, he can be really bold. And he understands his own voice now, and a way of being able to articulate it, so that others know that he's not wavering either. And so I really love that part of him, that he knows himself so well. Is that not one of the greatest gifts that we can give our children, is to know themselves so well that they don't require anger outbursts in order to get their expression, desires, etc. across, but that they can feel secure in themselves and unwavering in themselves, so much so in anybody's presence, that they will honor themselves in that way. I just think of the amount of adults that I work with that would have given anything to have parents that allowed them to discover their own voice as a child, discover how it could come out, to be curious, to discover their own emotions without resistance. Because the thing is, anger, anger, sadness, and those come out very differently when we don't resist them. There's a lot of power in both anger and depression. Anger generally leads us to action. Depression, if not resisted, actually leads us to deep internal connection and introspection and a depth of knowing of self. But if we actually fight against the depression, it pulls us in so much that we crowd ourselves out because we're in such judgment. So this is all a lot. This is a lot. I do teach people individually, but I also am teaching a workshop. It's happening on October 17th, and it's called What Does My Body Know? Because our bodies have housed so much information inside of them that is life-changing. And when we begin to listen without resistance, and we begin to cultivate our own essential self, our internal divinity, everything changes around us, because it starts to resonate from that expansive, relaxed, open, authentic self, which essentially is that painting behind me. It's that energy of utilizing all the tension and the drama and even the trauma in our life to come up and expand out. I mean, that space of openness and resonance would invite anybody to have a more luscious life. So if you are interested, it's October 17th. It's an all day. I'm pretty sure it's 10 to 3:30 or 10 to 4. Please reach out to me and I will give you the information on how to sign up. I am actually offering it both in person and online. So it's the same price for either one. in person is always my invitation to you to show up in person, because you get to be in the energy of others and also share the energy of yourself. And there's something that's so expansive. However, I work with people internationally. And so if you're too far to be able to show up to the Chicagoland area, absolutely let me know that you would like to be on the Facebook Live, or on the live. Sorry, it's not even Facebook, but yes. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.